Welcome to the session that today we will practice in yin yang style. The yin poses that we will be holding a little bit longer and a bit of a more active flow to help us to elevate the heart rate, to lubricate the joints, work a little bit on the muscular strength. But we will start in this easy pose, Sukhasana, cross leg position, hands on the knees. You're welcome to keep your eyes gently closed, just to separate yourself from environment for a moment, to connect more toward your inner self, connect to your breath. Send a message to the mind and body that you will be taking care of your body through the mindful movements. If you would like to add something special as an intention for yourself, you can think of the word or phrase that you might be coming into through the practice. And as a group, I would like to use the word grounding. This time of the year, we need maybe a little bit slower pace in our life and a little bit slower pace in our practice as well. So as we exhaling, let us focus on bringing the body weight toward the earth through allowing some gravity to come toward the legs, ankles, knees, hips. Emphasize some weight on your hands, even elbows, like feeling how the arms are pulling the shoulders down toward the earth. And just notice the pace of your breathing. In the beginning of the practice, the pace can be a bit of a more on the shallow side, as we are not exhaling. We maybe are still a little bit rushed. We might be still a little bit stressed to get ready for the practice. So focus more on your exhalation. We shouldn't even worry about inhale. We shouldn't even worry about inhale length. We should be focusing on the length of exhale. So try to come to exhale where you feel you are out of the air in your lungs, but not holding the breath, but just catching this start of your inhale. Just have another moment here in silence, in stillness. And if you're ready to start a bit of a movement, let us keep your hands against the knees, press the chin toward the chest and round your spine like you're pulling the belly in toward the spine. And as you hold in this rounded spine position, move your head from side to side a couple of times to add some stretch on the sides of the neck. You can also experiment with a little bit of the different chin positions. So bringing the chin a little bit closer toward the collarbones, going through the center, or keep your chin slightly more open up toward the ceiling, adding a little bit different angle for the neck. So just see how you can achieve the different lines of stretch along the neck, but also try to get the stretch through the top trapezius all the way maybe to the bottom of your shoulder blades, because trapezius is a huge triangle muscle. So depending on how we're moving the head, we can feel those strings of stretch going a little bit lower. And finishing this stretch for the neck and the back of the upper spinal muscles. Let us come back into the seated position. Let's interlace the hands behind, squeeze the shoulder blades and lift the chin up. Trying to go as far with your arms back as you are able to create stretch on the front of the shoulders. But as you're pressing the head back, don't compress your neck too much. Just achieve a bit nice stretch on the front of the neck. That's it. So something that yeah, you feel comfortable, but not too much. And let us release the arms to the sides of the hips, and let's walk with the right hand. And first just drop your head and try not to look down this time, but just look exactly to the screen. So you are in this lateral plane here, and then let us take the right arm overhead. And here I'm inviting you to experiment with the palm position. Turn the palm toward the back, turn the palm toward the front. Notice how you naturally will slightly release the shoulder from internal rotation here to external rotation. And notice how you would probably lift your arm a little bit up when you want to keep your palm facing front and you want to keep your shoulder in external rotation. And then just add the circles. So when you bring the arm in front of your body, turn the palm toward the body. And then as we coming up, so in some point, naturally we would like to turn the palm toward the front, right? And overhead, palm facing the front. Yeah, so just go into a couple of circular movements, and one more time. And then let us just come into seated position, taking a moment here. Feeling, of course, more length, more space on the sides of the rib cage, and then walk with the left hand, and first just drop the head. So create this line from the hip to the ear, to the crown of the head. Try not to run forward. So if you have some tightness in your mid-back, work as much as possible to take your shoulder behind toward the back, imaginary wall, and then let us take the arm up, and then over, and here first, without the circle, we just experiment a little bit with the arm position. So turning the palm toward the back, turning the palm toward the front. And just check how your shoulder responds, what's happening around the shoulder blade here. Yes, and then, yeah, we're gonna go into the circles. So bring the arm in front, palm facing the body, and then when the arm comes parallel to the floor, maybe turning the palm to the front, going overhead with the palm facing the front, and then going. So there's no right or wrong. I want you just to notice how we actually manipulate with the arm, because this manipulation start in our mind, it's our palm, but actually it's coming from the shoulder. And going last time, and let us return back into the tall spine position. So feeling hopefully some space on the side of the neck, back, shoulders. And let us go into a very gentle twist, bringing the left hand against the right knee, and just supporting the body with the right arm behind, and that's a very gentle twist. So I love to do all the warm-up twist in a more dynamic way. That means release, and then exhale, going into twist. Release and going into twist. Okay, one more time. And return back, facing the front, taking the breath. And go to opposite. So the right hand against the thigh. And you're welcome to hold that, or you're welcome to go into dynamic stretch when you are releasing a little bit and then going again. releasing a little bit, and then going again. See how that feels. And let us return back to the center. Yes, we would like to release the legs by this point. So let us just release their feet, ankles. Let us just on the heels turn the toes, feet to the other directions, and just notice how everything working, your knees and hips a little bit, and you can allow the knees to fall a little bit more, so both hips goes to the left, then both hips goes to the right. So notice how with the flexed feet your knee is pretty much locked, so your ankles and hips are rotating in the same alignment, right? We all the time talking about this connection, this joint, the knee joint that we're not exercising in yoga, but we're exercising so much of the hips. So we need to understand how to do that safely. Okay, great. And let us from this position come into the tabletop position. Keep your blanket, your pillow maybe on the side of the mat, and let us come into the tabletop position. Knees are hip distance. Spread your fingers wide, and let us just warm up the wrist a little bit. So moving the shoulders forward into a little bit more advanced flex position, and release. So whatever your wrist can sustain, you move the body weight forward and then release. Okay, so moving forward, try to keep your elbows straight and release. So all of us will have a bit of a different range that we can flex the palm with the weight bearing on it. Okay, one more time. Just release and flex, and then let us bring the palms on the sides of the knees, palms, back of the palms facing the floor. Spread your fingers and try your best to bring your elbows straight. So try the best to feel this stretch on the forearm. And again, we have a different mobility here, so just do, it's gentle, and then release. So this time we're going to bring the palms facing the base of the palms facing each other, forearms are facing each other, and you're coming into the tabletop position again. This time you might have your knees a little bit wider, spread your fingers, and we're going to load the wrist in a little bit different angle. We're going to move the shoulders from side to side here, and then you know that we can maybe bring the base of the palms closer. That's going to be maybe a little bit more restricted and maybe a little bit more intense. Maybe some of you able to bring your forearms completely touching each other and move here. And range is different, right? When the forearms are together, range of the flexion will be less. When the palms are wide, range maybe a little bit more. So just see where you feel to be with that. And then let us come onto the fist. I'm going to come to the camera to show you better. So you're holding your fists and you put the second phalangers on the floor, and you have your thumb in front, okay? And you keep your wrist straight. So that's how you come into this tabletop position with the fist. And what we're going to do, we're going to move toward the thumb, and then we're going to bend the elbow slightly, and we'll move toward the pinkies. So basically trying to move the fist, the wrist in a fist position into lateral movement. So it might be very limited, and you decide how much weight you put into that, okay? So moving here you need to bend your elbow. Definitely you're finding that the range on one side much less than the other side. And let us just release the wrist and shake them a little bit. Shake your shoulders. Great. And we'll come with the knees together, tucking the toes as much as we can, maybe helping with the pinkies, feeling some stretch along the feet, and try to bring your body weight on your heels. It might be really uncomfortable for some of you. Try your best to sit here. We're going to take the arms up and we'll bring the right arm under the left, and then bring the palms together, and then we'll press the elbows toward the chest. So feeling some compression on the left shoulder. So you're trying to sit low with a straight spine here, feeling a compression on the left shoulder and feeling a lot of a stretch in your toes. And let's release. So let us tap the toes. You can also stretch your knees if you need here, and then we'll have another side second set for the toes. So tuck your toes, keep stretching the soles of the feet. Sit, so bring as much weight down to your heels as you're able to sustain. Take your arms up, bring the left arm under the right. This time bring the palms together and press the elbows down. Try not to lean forward. Try to keep your torso straight. So a bit of the compression in the right shoulder. Take in the breath here. And let's again release. Tap the toes again. Maybe a bit of a shake of the knees. And here we are coming into the tabletop position with alignment of the shoulders above the palms, hips above the knees. And we'll round the spine, drop the head down, tuck the tailbone down, pulling the belly in, and then very slowly let's go into the dog stretch. From here, go with your own pace. Some of us love to go it faster, a little bit faster, some go a little bit slower. I love to have a really defined position on extension, so I'm even holding maybe a couple of breaths here. And then I love to hold my cat stretch to make sure that I feel the stretch on the neck. I feel that I'm reaching toward my lumbar spine. I feel how my thoracic spine muscles stretch. So really using a bit of a core strength to press the spine up toward the ceiling. Controlling the top of the trapezius, so keeping all the time awareness that I have space between the shoulders and the ears. So let us go for one more full for the both directions, and then we'll take the knees wide, press the hips down, stretch the arms in front, and just have the child pose here that will just feel a bit of a stretch, more defined stretch along the lower back. You're welcome to experiment with the distance of the knees and maybe moving from side to side. So here is a great opportunity to stretch the SI joints, the sacroiliac joints. It's a joint between the sacrum, the triangle bone on the base of the spine, and your hip bone. So that's a very strong joint, but sometimes we would like to achieve a bit of a stretch there. And then let us return back into the tabletop position, moving the hands forward and dropping the belly down to the floor. Coming into the Sphinx pose to start with some back of the body core work. So get here, the shoulders above the elbows, keep your feet hip distance, and really start engaging your legs by pointing the toes, squeezing the glutes. Maybe feel like you're taking the belly button slightly off the floor So like your lower back is all supported here. Neck is long, neutral. Your gaze probably not high. Your gaze might be down to the floor. And keep rolling the shoulders away from the ears. Keep pushing the shoulders backwards. Use a little bit of the forearms to elevate the chest, and then relax everything and bring your forehead down to the floor. Take a breath here. And then let us go again. Let's go to the Sphinx pose again. And just use a bit of the forearm strength to press the floor. Control the upper back, control your shoulders, and work toward finding the strength of your legs, glutes, and your abdomen here. Feel support of the lower back. A lot of the glute work. So it's still a very moderate lower back extension, because we're not lifting the legs, that we're going to do shortly. And then exhale, come down to the floor. This time we bring the palm on the top of the palm and bring the forehead down on the palms. And this time we're going to lift the legs off the floor using the same engagement of the lower body. Glutes, hamstrings, lower abdomen, pointing toes, but feel how your shoulders and neck relax. So I really want to emphasize the relaxation of the upper body. Only lower body work here. And exhale, come down. And as you relax, I want you to notice how your heels are collapsing outside, yes, and you feel all relaxed. So you have your slightly internal rotation of the hips. And then again, point the toes, so hips comes back to alignment, frontal alignment, and let us lift the legs off the floor. And this time we're going to lift the forearms off the floor, but your forehead is still resting on your palms, and think of sliding the shoulder blades up a bit away from the ears. So engage a bit of the upper back here. And you don't need to go high. It could be a very, very moderate arch that you create in your lower back. Exhale, come down. And shake your hips. And we'll come one more time. The same variation, point and toes, lift the legs, lift the forehead off the floor. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release down, and then let us bring the arms in T position. Turn your face to the left, and then lift your left leg and go as far. It's a scorpion pose. So going with your left toe to touch the floor. A bit of the stretch, a bit of the twist for the lower upper back as well. So just feel that where you go. You might not reach the floor, your leg might be high. You feel some opening in the hip flexors as well. Stretch in the right shoulder as well. And let us release. Take a moment to return back to the midline. And then lift the right leg, bend the knee, and go. You might find that you want to lift your head off the floor. That's okay. So as long as your neck is comfortable. We're not holding this long for now. So it's just the warm-up stretch. And let's release. Let us go on your own pace, going to one side, maybe having the breath holding, releasing, and then going to the other side, maybe holding the breath and releasing. I'm inviting you to go 5 times on your own. Okay, so just warming up the lower back here, stretching the front of the chest. Okay, for me is number 2. So you go on your own pace, maybe reaching the floor, maybe not. So a bit of an activation here. And when you're going to be done with the 5, just go to the child pose. So I will take a look on the screen, and I will know that we all done with the 5 reps, and we can continue. But no rush, no rush. You don't need to rush. You are welcome to enjoy the child pose. It could be a more passive child pose with the arms on the sides of the legs, palms facing the ceiling, or more active with the arms in front. Even might lift your wrist and elbows off the floor, whatever feels right for you. So just go there. Take a moment here, so a bit of a rounding lower back, and then when you're ready, let us find the downward dog. So spread your fingers first of all, set your middle finger straight forward, lift your hips, and here we will walk through the dog a couple of times, so adding some stretch for the calves and flexing the ankles a little bit. Here, so the feet are already stretched before, and then finding your downward dog with a long spine. Shake your head, and then when you're ready, let's look forward and walk to the front of the mat, and just hand here. I would invite you to interlace your elbows and maybe move from side to side a little bit, allowing great but passive stretch of the back of your body. So make sure that the body will distribute it equally on your feet. So you're not standing on your heels, instead standing on your toes. Shake your head, and then if you had them interlaced, release your arms, and let's very slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, come up into standing position. So slower you're able to come up, it's just demonstrating your better connection, your better control of the articulation of the spine. And we're coming into the mountain pose. Stretch of the shoulders already done. You feel how you're opening your chest. You know how to engage your glutes because in standing position it's really important to maintain this embracing of the core to keep our ideal posture. And let us go through the couple of sun salutations. With inhale, lift the arms up. So remember how we experiment with the palms position and connection to the shoulders. So keeping the palms facing each other. Bring the palms together. Hinge from the hips. Exhale, fold forward. Release the head all the way down. Let us step the left foot back, and the first one we're going to come into the low lunge. Having the knee down to the floor. Maybe a bit of the pulses again here to stretch the front of the left thigh. Bring the hands to the knee. Open the chest, don't compress the neck. So just keep your gaze parallel to the floor. And let us take the arms up, maybe a little bit wider. Spread your fingers and just keep your chest open. Keep creating the stretch of the front of the body. On exhale, bring the hands on the floor, tuck the back toes, and find your way to go into downward dog. Exhale. Downward dog is always the counter pose for any back bends, any back extension that we're practicing. And of course, this is the shoulder strength, this is the arm balance, right? We just have half of our body weight on your feet, but it's still quite a lot of a weight on the arms. And let us look forward, slide into plank for the split of a second, drop the knees, and find yourself coming down to the floor. Arrange your hands to be on the sides of the rib cage, squeeze the shoulder blade. Your ideal forearm position is perpendicular to the floor. Strong legs, but you're not lifting them. Lift the chest up. So the same work for the posterior chain, but we're just not lifting the legs. Then bring the chin to the chest. Exhale, round the spine, create a bit of a stretch in the lower back, contour pose, and then tuck the toes and come into the downward dog. Exhale. So taking another exhale before we stepping the left foot forward. So you might take a couple of moves here till you get to this low lunge. That's fine. finding the depth that working for your hip, and bring your hands to the knees. After you found your low lunge, let's take the arms up and take a deep inhale, opening the chest. So the back bend is moderate here, so don't collapse to your lower back. Keep controlling that. On exhale, bring the hands on the floor, tap the toes, and step into downward dog. Exhale, long spine. Next inhale, look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Set your feet hip distance, hand here for the breath. And then again, we're gonna go real slow as possible. So trying to go from tailbone, then all the vertebrae of lumbar spine, then all the vertebrae of thoracic spine, then your head, so your neck goes up, and then you're just adjusting the shoulders. Let us go for the next one. Inhale. Exhale, folding forward, releasing the head. And step the left foot back, but this time keep your knee off the floor. So keep your high lunge. Bring the hands to the thighs and have your body weight distributed equally between your both feet while your torso is in a 45-degree. So make sure that you're not extending here. So think of those strings between the lower rib and the hip bone is all pulled your belly in. And when you're ready, take your arms on the both sides of the head. Hold here, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor on the both sides of the right foot, and without lifting the hips, see if you can slide your right leg back into the plank. Let us focus on the upper body, pressing the floor, puffing the space between the shoulder blades. If it's too hard for you, you're always welcome to drop your knees, but you still have slight posterior tilt. Then look forward, bend your elbows, move your shoulders forward, and using a bit of a tricep strength, maybe hand here without dropping the belly down to the floor. And then come down, exhale. Reset the hands on the sides of the rib cage, roll the shoulders back, pointed toes. Inhale, come. You don't need to go high. Your neck is continuation of your curve with the spine. So don't lift the chin, don't stress it. And then press the floor, chin to the chest, rounded spine, tap the toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Taking the breath here. Control your shoulders. Don't have the shrugged shoulders. And then when you're ready, step in the left foot forward. Take your time. Again, it might be a couple of moves. Rearrange the proper distance between your feet. Bring your hands to the left side. Lift the torso up. So get one straight line from the back heel to the crown of the head. So no extension here. Pull the belly in. And when you're ready, take your arms on both sides of the head, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor. And again, we're going to try not to lift the hips, but bring the left foot back into plank. Squeeze the glutes, press the floor, neck neutral, holding this time for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping the knees, moving shoulders forward, not letting the belly to lead. Allow the shoulders and chest to lead it down. Reset the hands and lift the chest up, neutral spine. Feel how, oh sorry, not the neutral spine, neutral neck. And make sure that your hands are very lightly touching the floor. Chin to the chest. Exhale, come into the rounded spine. Tap your toes and come into the downward dog. Taking the breath. Exhale, looking forward and walking to the front of the mat. Exhale here, and again, very slow, very, very controlled. Roll up into standing position. Exhale. Great. So let us come into the mountain pose. You can be facing the screen, and we'll take the arms overhead. So if it's possible, interlace the fingers, point the index finger up, and try to bring your elbows behind the head. Okay, and then from here, we're gonna move the hips to the right and come into the side bend. So if it's too much for your shoulders, keep just one arm overhead. You also can hold the right wrist with the left hand and kind of a pull. But I want you to focus more on the hips movement, so you're creating stretch along the waist area. Hold in another breath and then come up, release the arms. With inhale, lifting the arms up again. You can start with the interlaced fingers, index finger up, move the hips and start going into the side bend on the other side. Again, variation here is to do it with one arm only, or you might also add a little bit extra. When I say the pull in the arm, it's just giving the arm just direction here. Okay, so going as far as you can go, and then exhale, release the arms. This time we're gonna come to the right foot and having the left foot on the floor. Stabilize your right hip and maybe soft knee, so never lock the knee, and then lift your left leg off the floor. Flex the foot, and this time let us take the right arm along the body, up, and left arm along the body down. So this is a side bend, but here we're now using the core strength, you're working on the hip stability, working with that left hamstring strength. So think of this hip, that's where the hinge happening. You can go as low as you have strength. And release. Shake your legs and let us go on the other side. So first of all, stabilize your left hip, have your right foot on your big toe, and then when you're ready, first just lift the foot and flex the right foot. Then take one arm up, other arm down, and here you can experiment how long you can go. So start with the shoulder going down, and then leg is lifting. So don't go here, leg up and you're not going down. So always think of the same amount of the going down and lifting the leg. It's very symmetrical. Very good. Excellent, everyone. And exhale, shake your legs. Great. So let us return back to the front of the mat. And from here we'll go to the next flow. With inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, hinging forward all the way down. Let us step into the downward dog. And here, bring your left foot to the midline. Lift your right leg up and bend the right knee, pointing the left knee up toward the ceiling. Feeling some stretch on the thigh and hip. And then let us bring the right knee forward and just drop the right knee down to the floor. Let us all sit on the right hip and then just adjust your front shin to be parallel to the front of the mat. So we're coming into the pigeon pose, but you know that I love to practice pigeon pose with first of all elevation of the right hip. So that's going to give you the chance to get your pelvis facing front parallel to the edge of the mat. Your front foot is 90 degrees, right? So you're supporting your knee, and the front knee is on the floor. And here you can use bolster or the cushion that we prepared, and we'll come into a little bit longer hold. Exhale. So the key in the pigeon pose is not to create any torque in your lower back. That's why I love to use nice support for the right hip, and you play with a support that if you bring your both hands to your pelvis, the palms are just symmetrically sitting on your pelvis. And you not necessarily have to go really low. You can have just a forearm resting on this cushion or bolster, depending on what you're using here. Relax your head. Ideally, of course, we want to extend the arms as we want to have shoulders relaxed. And check your left shoulder. Very often we are tense in the left shoulder as the diagonal compensation for the work on the right hip. And here I'm giving you 1 minute in silence to just practice the surrounding to the pose. Taking the last 5 breaths here. We'll then, with the help of the hands, lift the torso, and we'll release the right leg, going into downward dog. So if you feel that you want to shake your right leg up in the air, you can go, you can walk your downward dog. If the downward dog is too much for you, you definitely can rest in the tabletop position, stretching both legs. That's the also variation. You not necessarily have to go to downward dog. And then when you're ready, you step in the right foot closer to the midline, taking the left leg up and opening the hip. So a little bit of very similar rotation that we did earlier as a scorpion pose. Here, same sensation in the hip, and then send your left knee forward and start with sitting completely on the right side, the right hip. Adjust your front ankle. Your knee have to be nicely supported on the floor. Left foot is flexed. Then using the arms, you again arranging your pelvis. Remember, I want to bring both palms on the pelvis, and they should be parallel to the floor. So trying to avoid the any torque in her twist in the lumbar spine. So support the front hip, knee the way that your lower back is neutral, and then using support for the forearms. So maybe start first a bit of a higher position. Yes, I also, as I told earlier, I love to have a bit of a dynamic. Look, I'm stretching all the ligaments, tendons, muscles to just set my hip into position that it feels stretchy, but it still feels good. It's not feeling extreme. And then we'll, with a hold of several minutes, we're going to hold in this for 3 minutes. We're coming down to support, and here we'll have just a silent, still hold. Having the last 5 breaths here. We'll then lift their chest and we'll return into the downward dog as the one option, or come into the tabletop as the other option to release the hips. So choose your position that's working for you, and then let us drop the knees together down to the floor. We're going to go to the supine position. If you find that you need to support the back of your head, you can have a folded blanket or the same cushion. And before you go on your back, just watch me. We're going to be using a resistance band or strap or belt. We'll go with this leg stretcher. So we'll first start with the leg up. Then we're going to open the leg to one side, and then we're going to go with the leg to the other side. So, yeah, so come down. You all know that sequence. But before we go, I'm going to be just checking the lumbar spine. So let us start with the right leg up. Flex the foot. I want you to flex the foot to the point that your knee is straight as your hamstrings allows you. If you're finding that this is too hard, you're welcome to have your left knee bent for the leg up. And I want you to maintain your neutral spine. So make sure you're not tucking the tailbone to bring the leg closer to your face. Neutral position. And then just bring your right arm straight and bend to the both elbows here, and just hold and make sure that you are focusing on pressing the heel up toward the ceiling rather than pulling the toe toward the face. Don't strain your shoulders. Work with your breath. Think of a hamstring stretch here. And your wrist should be also straight. We love to, put too much strain in the wrist. So it's your biceps actually helping you to not to pull the leg, but just to hold the leg, just to secure the leg. The work is active on the hamstring itself. You want to use the strength of your leg muscles to send the heel up, and this way to stretch the hamstring. Let us now bring the band to the left hand again. I want you to start with a straight wrist, straight elbow. For this one, if you had the left knee bent, you need to extend the leg, maybe flex the foot. Bring the left hand to the left hip and open the right leg to the right as far as it can go without rolling the left shoulder off the floor. Keep external rotation of the right hip. That means that your toe is pointed toward your head. Keep focusing on the left side of the body in external rotation of the right hip. So pelvis ideally is flat on the floor. You feel a lot of a stretch in the inner thigh. Let's hold here for a couple of more breaths. And then let's lift the leg up. Again, you have your left arm, so you're holding the strap now with your left hand, your wrist, elbows all straight. Right arm comes to the floor in T position, anchoring yourself, and you go in with a right leg across the body. This time you're lifting the right hip off the floor, but trying to keep your right shoulder down. You're welcome to turn the head to the right as well. You feel nice stretch along the hip, along the hamstring, all the way to the heel. And And let's release. So have a moment here with the leg up. Take the support, whatever you used, off the foot, and then release. So let us first bend both knees and readjust the pelvis and shoulders to be grounded and symmetrical on the floor. Then you're welcome to keep your right knee bent. Take your left leg up. Green strap belt band around the foot. Keep your straight arms, wrist bend, elbows a little bit, and continue to use the muscles of the leg. Be active into the stretch to send your heel up toward the ceiling, maintaining neutral spine. So only with your neutral pelvis, this is effective stretch. Not when you tuck your tailbone off the floor, when you have a tilted pelvis, right? So it looks like you're stretching harder, but that's not a good position for your lumbar spine. So it's really active here. This is the more effective stretch of the hamstring when you just pressing the foot up, heel, foot the in flex position, heel up toward the ceiling. Shoulders relaxed. Use a little bit of a bicep strength. Then we'll bring the strap band belt into the left hand, keeping the wrist straight, elbow straight. This time we need to extend the right leg if it was bent, and we'll bring the right hand to the right hip. Look up toward, don't look on your foot, look up toward the ceiling. Keep grounding your right shoulder, flex the foot, feel stretch in the inner thigh. So if you're finding that you're rolling to the left, just rotate. You might need to lift the leg a little bit higher and keep your right hip grounded. Think more of external rotation of the left hip here. Let us lift the leg up and bring the left arm in T position and go across. You can turn your head toward the left. Take 3 more exhales, send them to your right shoulder, or left shoulder, of course, and feel the stretch on the left hip. And then let's release the leg up, release the band, strap belt, and then release the leg down, bend your knees, reset your hips here, and then if you can reach to your 2 blocks. Have your 2 blocks with you, and we'll come into the supported bridge. Today we might go to the 2 blocks, but start with 1 block only. So place your block under your hips. Keep your head down to the floor. I'm using pillow, but ideally we want to have a head down to the floor. And bring your hands on the sides. Relax your abdomen area, so create a little bit of the posterior tilt here first. So like you're creating traction in the lower back. And you're welcome to stay here in this restorative position. If you want to work a little bit more on lumbar spine extension, you might lift your hips and place the second block. And make sure that blocks are not under the waist area, but blocks are under your sacrum, right? So from the top of this triangle bone, the whole lumbar spine is lifted. And if you go into the higher position, make sure that your feet are parallel to the sides of the mat and your knees are not going apart. Your knees are going away from the hips. You bring your arms under the hips as well, palms facing the ceiling, maybe squeezing the shoulder blades. You feel much more stretch in the hip flexors and the quads. And that will be a little bit more in a spinal extension here. If it's too much for you, you always return back to the one block position. And let us hold here for a bit. Keep working by sending the knees away. So that's going to create more stretch on the quads. Working a little bit on the inner thighs as well, because in this position, hips want to go to external rotation, knees want to go wide. So just keep it all here, pretty active, all in control position. And then we'll move one block away if you were in the 2 blocks. And first, just set your pelvis back into the tilt position a little bit, like already creating the contour pose for extension. Hold for a couple of breaths and then remove the second block. Bring the hips down and just check how you feel, how there's extension. Reflects in your spine, and then we're going to bring the knees to the chest. So here is a full flex position. Massage the lower back. And then of course we want to have a little bit of a shake. So we're going to lift the legs, lift the arms and shake them a little bit. So really relax all the muscles of the arms, all the muscles of the legs. Feel your joints, activate your lymphatic system, really harder. Yes, it's sometimes not easy, but we even don't know how to relax the muscles very often. So try to feel the jelly calves, jelly hamstrings, quads, a bit of the biceps, and then just drop the legs. Get the heels to the corners of the mat. Move the arms a little bit away. Let's together take a deep inhale. And exhale through the mouth. And we'll be closing the practice with Shavasana. The usual last asana of the practice to help us to feel the results of the movements, results of all the muscular engagement, all the muscular stretches, all the mobility work that we did through the joint work today. As you hold in your Shavasana, you would like to scan the body from the toes to the crown of the head. Maybe you feel sensations in your ankles or knees or hips, your wrists, elbows or shoulders. Or you feel some blood circulation arise through their core. Maybe you feel some space that you created along the spine. Or maybe it's just emotions that are rising. Don't analyze them, but let them just to be noticed. A bit of a length on the exhalation can come before you start moving your fingers and your toes, your wrists and ankles. Maybe you take your arms toward the ceiling and kind of pull one arm, lifting one shoulder blade off the floor, slightly pulling the other arm to feel the other shoulder blades comes off the floor. Maybe hugging yourself with the right arm on the top, rocking from side to side with the upper body, then changing the arms and rocking again, feeling how it's a bit of a different sensation in the shoulders. Bending the knees, having the feet hip distance or even wider, maybe dropping the knees from side to side in the windshield manner, just to move a little bit the lower back, till you're ready to roll on one side and take a moment on one side, and then with the help of the arm in front, bring yourself into seated position. It can come back to the cross leg position. Let us have a moment here with the hands on the knees, lengthening through the spine. Bring the hands in front of the heart. If you had your personal intention for the practice, you're welcome to return to this intention. At the end of the practice, with cultivating gratitude for opportunity to be on the mat, to spend time for yourself. I would like to thank you for attending the practice and wish you a beautiful continuation of your day. Namaste.